All right, here we are, the last segment of this how to take care of your pool seminar deal. What I want to talk about are the chemicals. The reason the chemicals are important is because they are the single cause of the most expensive type damage that you can cause on a pool. If you remember nothing more out of this than to keep an eye on the pH level of your pool, that is the one that will probably be the most pertinent of the two that you're going to be testing for. If it gets beyond the chlorine test and gets beyond the pH test, call us, we'll help you through it, no big deal. As far as the chlorine goes in a pool, that's going to be the most effective sanitizer you can use. There are a variety of ways of getting chlorine into a pool, and they run the gamut from liquid, tablets, salt, which makes chlorine. But what you're doing is you're killing bacteria in the pool, and then the filter picks up the dead bacteria. They're both mutually exclusive. One does not affect the other. We'll start with the chlorine test. I've pre-filled up a couple of these vials with water. There are lines that you're supposed to stop at. Don't overfill them, don't underfill them. Fill them to the lines, okay? The chlorine test, you'll take one of these test reagents. That's these little bottles with a color-coded cap. Keep in mind, easy to follow instructions if you're not picking up what I'm saying here. So you hold the bottle up and you'll put 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Full drops. That's the best way of getting a more accurate reading on it. The pH on the other side, what you're going to test there is the acidity or alkalinity of the water. If you find that you're running the pH in a pool consistently low, acidic, think of it in terms of it's caustic, and basically the thing that it affects most is the inside of this heat exchanger, which has a copper exchanger, and it will actually start etching the copper. If you have consistently high pH levels, it'll calcify and basically clog things up in there over time. In any event, it's an expensive repair and it's very, very avoidable. So back to the pH test. What you want to do is neutralize the chlorine that's in there. The chlorine will skew a pH test. So you've got this neutralizer stuff, and put 1 drop in it. Boom, you got it. Give it a little swirl just so it mixes up slightly. And then same drill. You're going to put 5 drops of the pH reagent, the red top solution, that will go in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? If you're in doubt or if you have problems, you're always free to bring a sample of water into our store and get it tested by one of our guys in there. As soon as I get one of these caps out of here, which don't want to come out very easily, there we go. All right, put a little cap on the thing, boom, give it a little bit of a swirl, all right? What you're going to do then is you're going to just simply match up the color of the vial with a color alongside of it. This particular pool has a nice strong chlorine reading of about 3, which is perfect. You'd rather err to the high side with chlorine than the low side with chlorine. The pH, again, that's right about 7, 2, or 3. That's right on the money, all right? That's exactly where it should be. In the springtime, you're probably going to be adjusting what they call the total alkalinity. The total alkalinity in a pool is something that basically helps buffer the pH from either being schizo high or being too low, all right? You can adjust that by using liquid or dry acid to lower it. You can use baking soda or the equivalent to raise it, all right? You want to try to get that in the springtime because the rest of the year will probably be a lot easier for you going forward, all right? A lot of pools that we have nowadays have either a UV system or a salt system on them. An ultraviolet system is a non-chemical way of killing bacteria in the water where it goes through a vessel, it's exposed to ultraviolet light, and as it exits the vessel, it's about 99% bacteria-free. So although you still use a conventional chlorine test kit and chlorine in it, you're using far less chlorine to have the same effect on it. If you have a salt system, they tend to want to operate in a fairly tight parameter of about 2,800 to 3,500 parts per million, which you should have a test kit or bring it in and we'll test it for you. Keeping in mind, a salt system isn't hocus pocus voodoo. It's just you're making chlorine out of the sodium chloride, which is the salt that's in solution form in the pool. They work very well. Either system is acceptable. So are good old hockey puck tablets in the automatic chlorinator. They work fine too. The one thing to keep in mind if you do have a salt system is that you don't just keep adding salt to the pool. What happens is salt doesn't ever leave that body of water unless you physically take that water out of it. So don't just think, okay, honey, it's springtime, I'm gonna go throw a couple 100 pounds of salt in the pool. Bad move, don't do that. Test it, find out what's necessary. Typically it'll end up being about maybe a bag each year in the springtime to make up for that water that splashed out the prior season. So in conclusion, if your chlorine's at 0 and you're wondering what to do about it, there's a thing called shocking the pool, which is basically over-chlorinating it, and you do that using granular chlorine. As I mentioned before, there's a difference between the types of chlorine you can use, but shocking it basically bolts everything super high and then it drops down again. Sunday nights are the best time to be doing these things because usually it's had a lot of use over the weekend. The best rule of thumb also is a little bit of time consistently will pay huge dividends compared to sitting on the couch and going out there and looking at the thing once every 2.5 weeks. That's a recipe for disaster because these things are living bodies of water and they need to be taken a look at them on a rather continuous basis. If you ever do get to the point where you do need us for help with anything, we have free delivery on chemical orders over $75. We'd like a day or two's notice to get it out to you, but usually we're in someone's zip code at least one day of the week. So the first question they'll probably ask you though is, make sure the skimmer baskets are clean. And again, every yard is a bit different. If you have a lot of cottonwood, trees, leaves, if you don't have an automatic cover, you probably have to go out there every couple days and just make sure those things are cleaned up. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it'll make the summer go a little bit better for you with the pool. If you are happy with what we've been telling you and you've had a nice experience, please feel free to write something on Google Places. I'd appreciate it. If you're not happy, I'd appreciate a phone call and let me know what we can do to solve that. Thanks again for watching.